Hello again, our friends.
Hello there.
Back again, and I had 1/2 cup of coffee so far, but there's just so much going on that we just gotta share. We want to share. We like sharing with you guys.
Yes, and we can make it fun.
We try. Mm-hmm. Please do subscribe both channels. Evolutionaryenergyarts, which is our original channel, and it's been sitting at 66,000 subscribers for 3.5, 4 years now, because they don't want us getting to 100, because at 100 you get to actually talk to a human. Until then, all you could talk to is AI. That tells you a lot. Think about these companies out there. You want to talk to somebody, you're frustrated, you got an issue, you can't get to an actual human being. How as above, so below mimics things. This is what they want for you and for eternity. Yes, it is for eternity if they have their way. EEARTS as well. And so, guys, we see reports coming in of air raid sirens going off in southern China. As we know, we just covered on the other channel yes, some are saying the witch has landed. The witch has landed. Pelosi has landed. And there have been no SU, which are the military aircraft that the PLA has in abundance, in the skies over Taiwan, which is good so far. They have said they will do a response. We'll see what that response is and when it will come. It might not come now. It might come in 2 weeks. It might come in 4 weeks or 6 weeks. Cindy's got something.
You know that thing where you get in trouble at home and the mom says, you just wait till your father gets here. It's going to be that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we will be monitoring this, as my next project is I'm going to be making a loft bed. Yes. Yay. From scratch. I can't wait to do this. I got everything all set. And protests in Taiwan against the visit of Speaker Pelosi are gaining momentum. We see many people out there protesting. Why would they be protesting against Speaker Pelosi? Is it because they don't want to be bombed and obliterated into oblivion? This is everybody on the globe. Besides the insanity that runs the show here, people really want peace. They really do. It's just really the warmongers at the top. I do again believe that Vietnam was the beginning of people waking up to, hey, there's something really wrong here. Before Vietnam, I think people kind of, took the narrative hook, line, and sinker. But I also feel like the powers that be have gotten greedier and greedier, and that they're kind of flaunting their powers, so to speak, more and more, and almost daring us to do something.
Indeed, we have a lot of that going on, a lot of information where we're just having to sort of sit and wait in a holding pattern. But in the meantime,
don't you worry, never fear. 46 is here. Mm-hmm. He is here to save the day. He's guarding us day and night. His eagle eyes will not miss a thing.
So, Principal Richardson, thank you for welcoming us here today, and Secretary Cardona and Mayor Bowser and Chancellor Fairby. Thank you for joining us as well. And for families across the country,
Yeah, don't you worry. 46 knows where his priorities are, and he's off and after it. Oh, yeah. See you later, Jill.
Yes.
You got this. I'm going to get myself a toasted almond bar. That was my favorite.
Or is it something else?
Oh, no. Oh, boy.
Ouch.
Yeah, look at this. Monkey see, monkey do. There are beings, the controllers view us as monkeys. Trainable monkeys. That's how they view us. Let's just think about that. There was a movie. How many of you guys remember? Oh, I forget the name of the movie, but it was about the Archangel Gabriel, who is real and very, very much a benevolent being on a very, very high level. And yet in the movie, the Archangel Gabriel revolts and comes to Earth, and Christopher Walken plays him. That was a great movie. I forget what the name of that movie was. I know you guys will know. And I'm not even sure why okay, that's why. Sorry, my mind. I haven't had 2 cups of coffee yet, so I need that second cup of coffee. He kept referring to humans as monkeys, and that God loved us more and he was jealous. And really, with the archangels, nothing could be further from the truth. But anyway, he kept referring to us as humans. Now, humans as monkeys. There is a little bit of truth in monkey see, monkey do.
Yep, I mean, here we go, and everybody is off. Hurry up and wait, kids. Hurry up and wait. It's horrible. It's horrible.
I don't know why you would, again, it's, do you believe the narrative? Have you really gone deep in studying and have you listened to your feelings? We have to build discernment. This is why they fluoridate the water. Hang on.
Not only do they fluoridate the water, they fluoridate any possible thing that could go on your body, in your body. They spend an enormous amount of time and money to make sure that we either are seriously just asleep to everything, or that we will be asleep to everything, or we just know things, we just flat don't care. And that's what the fluoride does. You might know that these candy bars are bad for you to eat and they're bad for your pineal gland, but you just go ahead and do it anyway because, well, they taste good. And that's exactly where they want us. And the healthier we get and the more we wake up, we're going to realize what's going on, and then we are going to treat our bodies like a temple. We are going to raise up in vibration and out of their grasp, and that's what they don't want.
Yeah, it's again, yeah, and the information police are really at work in all these things, trying to eliminate all signs, all traces of what's really going on out there from our ability to search and find. But yeah, Hitler and Stalin put fluoride in the water of prisoners. Why is our water fluoridated? Well, just go a little deeper. Go a little deeper. I haven't used fluoridated toothpaste in decades, and I have no cavities with using just simply coconut oil and essential oils and baking soda. That's all you really need. You don't need fluoride. You don't need fluoride. Of course, the American Dental Association will tell you you do. But again, we keep going back to, who does number 2 work for? Who do they really work for? Who do all the ABCs work for? Absolutely. You gotta really build some discernment. Monkey see, monkey do. And here you see the sickle maker complains that Americans are not adhering to authorities. Oh, boo, boo, boo. Oh, Dr. Fauci gonna pick up his Lincoln Logs and take him off and go play in the corner by himself.
And we're not gonna get a sticker.
No gold sticker for you, Dr. Sickle Maker. Think about this. This is from UNESCO, UN, United Nations. Think before sharing. Stopping the spread of CONS piracy theories. Fact or fake? As you see, the Director General says conspiracy theories cause real harm to people, to their health, and also to physical safety. Amplify and legitimize misconceptions about the pandemic and reinforce stereotypes that can fuel violence and violent extremist ideologies. Well, you look at all the people that have lost somebody, not to the plague upon the land, but to the C period, U period, R period, E period. We know people. We know tons of people. I mean, you could start listing people. If you wanted to start writing down names, it'll go on forever. And if you just check with a friend, pick up that phone, text somebody, who do you know that had, serious consequences after getting the cure? That list is going to be big. And you know what? As every year that goes by, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And we're waking up to that fact. They've told us so many things like this. Oh, that's just normal. Yeah, no, they must be in the middle of, there must be an airport right next door to them. Well, if you travel like Cindy and I do, and then you see this over a small town of maybe 900 people, and it's not on a flight path in the middle, but yet there's stuff like this over a small town. You get outside of the town, there's nothing there. Wait a minute. And then you go to another town, it might only be 10,000 people, yet it's plastered again. Well, it seems like they want people to inhale certain things, be exposed to certain things. And if you do get binoculars of a high grade, like we have some that weigh about 10 pounds, you can see that these are mostly unmarked jets. Yeah, they do look the size of a passenger jet, but they're completely unmarked. And in fact, again, we could go, as we've done many times, and you could put down that chemtrail word, and you're going to get the wiki that says it is a CONS piracy theory. Yet you could do declassified weather modification, and we're going to get tons and tons and tons of stuff, PDF on top of PDF, that shows that, yes, they do all the time. And in fact, you could trace it into a lot of dis-ease. And you even have governments admitting that they do this. I mean, governments have admitted totally. They do this on a regular basis. So why are you trying to tell us that our eyes are deceiving us? What are you putting up there? What is coming down? What is wafting down? I said to Cindy when we were talking about Zawahiri being taken out, I swore he was taken out. I had a Mandela effect moment. I swore he had already died. And now people are pulling this out where they say he died. He already had died. And yet they're bringing it out now as if Joe has taken him out. You remember O had taken out, Osama? And again, is it just because we're getting close to election time? But I think even that is seeded because they know that as we wake up, they have to catch us. Every time. As we wake up to something, they got to catch us. They got to keep catching us. As long as they can, okay, they know this now. Tag nabbit. They're not going to believe the chemtrail wiki. Well, let's just say it's only about weather modification. Okay, yeah. That way they'll believe it because, it's the global warming side of things. Yeah. We'll keep putting that out. We got all the data covered. And this is what they do. But then they also get people that say, wait a minute, there's data that doesn't go along with that. And we look to the solar cycles and we look to the magnetic pole reversal and then they'll catch people there. And then they'll get people there too. Because they'll say, it's only natural cycles. It's only natural cycles. There's nothing that we're doing that augments it. It's not like we're taking a natural cycle and putting it on steroids. No. It's all natural cycles. You are getting sleepy. You are getting sleepier. It's all natural cycles. So then you catch that bunch. Mm-hmm. This is what they do on down the line. It's just... we have to wake up to all that's going on. Sure, there's natural cycles, but there's a lot of augmentation going on.
A lot indeed.
So, tell me, why did hospitals get paid for each, plague upon the land patient? If they get diagnosed with the plague upon the land, they get paid. They get paid for ventilation being used as well. They were incentivized. So where is that doctor do no harm? And you have to be looking out, the Hippocratic Oath, right? You have to be looking out for the betterment of the patient. Is it the betterment of the patient or is it profits? This is, again, what would it do you as far as good if you sell your soul to, again, gain the world? There you go again. ABC's chief plague upon the land fearmonger admits he's recovering from his second infection despite 4 ouchies. And he's been just saying, this is, you gotta get it. You gotta do this. You gotta do this. You're putting everybody into harm. Who's putting everybody into harm? Oh! Uh-oh! Was that a question or an answer?
Indeed. Here we go, kids.
0.04% compliance. Israel is wholly rejecting Pfizer's baby and toddler campaign. And hence, this is why we have people lining up across the block for, the M-pox. Do they think it's going to turn them into a bunch of monkeys? These people aren't monkeys. These people are awakened. And they're all over the world. They're all over the world waking up. They don't want you to see this, but this is why you have this UN statement. And this is the purpose. This is over in China. Yeah. How do they keep track of so many people? If there is just a shadowy group of people, humans, that are keeping track of the other humans for their controllers, and the population is hitting 8 billion, you got to use technology. Yeah, it would certainly help. Oh, okay. That's 012799673451. Okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah, he has shown signs on Facebook of not believing the official narrative. Let's get him in a red box. Okay, this one's good. Yeah, this one's good. They believe the narrative. Uh-oh, social credit scores dipping low on this one and this one. You got to watch out for these guys. Maybe we should send some cops on by.
Yep.
Meanwhile, why are banks closing branches? And in actuality, tons. You see Waukesha State Bank closing here, bank closures, HSBC closing 69 bank branches. It was Wells Fargo actually closing the most. Bank of America is closing a ton. This is part of what's coming next. Barclays to close 160 branches. We know there's going to be a run on the banks. Meanwhile, this is Ted Cruz, and the host here is just basically making note of the fact that, interesting, one of the very first things 46 did is try to double the size of the IRS. Who does 46 work for? It's not you and I. Double the size of the IRS. They know part of what they want to do is suck us dry right now. And I was seeing shock in the stores yesterday. Shock when people were going and checking out with a few bags, and it's like $200, just a few bags. We're going into really tough times. They're taking the peasants and they're beating them into submission. We are in the same feudal society we've always been in, and they're reminding us of that right now.
Yeah, and they're just going to continue on doing what they do because it's going to assist them in their agenda and putting us in a place where we have to comply. But we can't let that happen.
No, absolutely not. Amazon's going to cut 100,000 employees in a single quarter. So you're going to see it's going to get massively more tough. The rest of this year is going to make the first 8 months look like not much. There's an acceleration going on right now. And the acceleration is twofold. One part of it is a bigger percentage is waking up. They're just not going to go along with the narrative. They can't. Once you wake up, you really can't go along. You can't go back. You can't put yourself back in the matrix. Once you know, you really can't. Just like that scene. I know this steak is not real, as the betrayer who just betrayed the Neo and all the rest. I know this steak is not real, but sure does taste juicy in my mouth, and I haven't had steak in forever. This is how they tempt you. 45% of independent restaurants couldn't pay rent. About half of that's huge. Half of independent restaurants couldn't pay rent in July. They're not going to be there in a few months. Mom and pops, and then the the mid-sized businesses. There's only going to be the official state-run restaurants, places, grocery stores. Everything is going to be state-run. What is that? That is the definition of fascism. This is really what we're going into. It's fascism. Labor market cracks as job openings suffer third biggest plunge on record. Oh man, hang on guys, hang on. There's cracks all over. There's too many cracks to stick your fingers in. Home prices cooled at a record pace in June, according to housing data. Now I noticed yesterday because I had to go get some wood because we're going to make a little bit of I'm going to make a loft bed for storage purposes and also others. And so, I'm doing it from scratch because if I was to order something and what I want to make is not exactly something you can order because of the size. And, we don't need a lot. So actually it's only going to be a full size because, Cindy and I don't take up a lot of space. But yet I want to kind of do something unique. And the wood I bought yesterday only cost $97. Now, if I was to buy a bed, everything I was looking at would be like $1,000, unless you want to get something that's going to fall apart in just a matter of months. So we can do things ourselves. We could develop new skills. This is just part of what I'm trying to get across. We could develop new skills. We could really rewrite ourselves. It's a perfect opportunity as we get out of this crazy system that doesn't want to do anything but beat us into submission. We can develop new skills. I mean, I know so many of you guys out there are growing something. You're growing herbs, you're growing veggies, maybe you're growing fruit, maybe you're doing all the above. Last night, dinner was, after I broke my fast, I did a 48-hour fast, water fast, and that's something I want to do on a regular basis, like every 7 to 10 days, because again, we need to be detoxing. We are being poisoned by all sorts of chemicals. They found Roundup in like 80% of people's fluids. And mother's milk is loaded with plastics. If you're not detoxing, your body is perfectly situated to develop all sorts of inflammatory diseases and cancers. This is why we need to detox on a regular basis. And it doesn't cost us any money to detox. It really doesn't have to. It's just giving your body a break, sweating things out, getting exercise, just taking time where you're not actually eating. And I know many will say, well, I have diabetes, I can't do that. Well, so much diabetes, unless you're born with it, adult onset, that's lifestyle. That's because you've been eating their GMO foods, you've been eating the simple sugars, taking in high fructose corn syrup, eating white bread, eating too many French fries. It's totally dietary. We can switch that. Now you need to, if you're really, really seriously toxic, which, if you're still eating at McDonald's and Burger King and, Arby's and it goes on and on and on, yeah, you're probably going to be pretty damn toxic. So you want to go gently. But at the same time, we are running out of time because, if you can acclimate to what's coming, it's going to be so advantageous. We have to basically get ourselves in the mindset like you're going on a Survivor show or that show Alone. There's a show called Alone where they just drop people out in the wilderness and see how long you can make it. Some people last a day and that's it. They're like, take me back. I can't handle this. Other people can last 3 months, 100 days, totally on their own in harsh conditions. Well, we've had warnings, and we're going to touch on some stuff here too. We've had warnings from the powers that be. Again, they have to kind of let us know things. Texas power use is going to break records again this week. It's been really hot in the greater Dallas area, over here towards Texarkana. It's been hot, but you expect hot. Me personally, it doesn't really bother me. I would be more concerned with freezing to death and true, sub-zero temperatures in the winter and not being able to heat yourself. But again, everybody is in a different situation. And if you are, like so many Americans, half of Americans are obese. Half are obese. That's the number one cause for disease is having too much excess flesh on us. that sets us up because, again, toxins are stored in fat.
They are, so when it does come time to detox, you really do have to go very slowly, because if you look at things as like a river's running through your body and it's taking out so many toxins, and then say you go start to detox, well, that river is going to get filled up more and more and more with these toxins as you detox, and it can cause adverse reactions, and because everything is trying to leave at such a rapid pace. So it really, really is important that you do your homework if you're going to embark on any of these, and then go gently and go slowly. But the most important thing of all is that you just start that first part, and then at least look into it, and then you got a good method to go with. So just have a plan and follow through. Baby steps.
That's a good place to start. And yeah, I would not be surprised if we see some blackouts coming up in the coming 6 to 8 weeks. It wouldn't be surprising at all. It's almost surprising that we haven't had any yet. And again, be prepared for when that happens. Heat exhaustion is real. Then you add to this everything else. Now, Lyme disease, we had shown before. I've done videos on this, and I have firsthand experience. I was definitely affected by Lyme disease. I had the bullseye. I had the tick that was on me, and I brought the tick in. The tick was tested. Yes, Lyme disease. And there's co-infections that come with Lyme disease. And so I was hiking in January and with my pups, and one of them was a big, strong pit bull who was about 5 years old, named Bam Bam, and another one was a mix named Roscoe. Those are two fabulous puppies that I used to take hiking with me as soon as the snow would fall. First, this is when I was up in Connecticut, go up to Sleeping Giant, and I would do the Blue Trail. And this is just, for those of you that know Hamden and that area up there, it's beautiful. Connecticut has some gorgeous areas, especially when you get towards the Northwest Hills. That's gorgeous. But I'm diverging from the topic here. It's Lyme disease, which in my mind is completely manufactured in a lab. That's what I think. You should do your own research if you want to look into it. Tick-borne illnesses skyrocket 350% in rural America. Why? This is just a ticking time bomb that's been released. It's another thing that's going to attack us and lower life expectancy, cause all sorts of complications. When I had Lyme disease, it really forced me to do my Qigong on a daily basis. It also forced me to clean up my diet. And that's when I really did clean things up to a whole new level. And so, these things can be learning experiences. Why is it called Lyme disease? Because Plum Island, where we had the highest level of just, exactly what the sickle maker's into, all sorts of biological warfare studies going on. That is in Long Island Sound there, between New York and Connecticut, and right across from Lyme, Connecticut, which is a beautiful place too. So many people have been affected by this. I mean, I have cousins that have gotten this a half a dozen times, and you can get it again and again and again because there's so many variations. I think we should look at the plague upon the land and think of it as, again, it's another sort of amplification of what's been out there already. And that's why with these different variables, these different variations that are coming out, certain people are getting them. Now, Cindy and I, we haven't had the plague upon the land at all. And we've been blessed in that sense. We've been careful. We don't eat in public anymore. Not at all. I do all of our cooking. And we're very careful, when we're out in public. No, we don't mask up. No, we don't wear gloves, anything like that. But at the same time, we don't give ourselves a lot of exposure, as many people are allergic to certain things. And, again, there's a lot of shedding out there. And look at this. You might love your dog. If you raised, and many of you might, and Cindy did raise cows, and when she was growing up, they called them Hamburger and T-Bone, because it was to be ingrained in the kids that you might grow affectionate towards them and love them, but they're going to be dinner. And so, many people are turning vegetarian, and I'm not going to go into reasons to turn vegetarian, but you can see they do have real emotions. And yet they're going to cull 200,000 in the Netherlands. And they're trying to kick farmers off their land in the Netherlands as she serenades him asleep. Isn't that beautiful? Or her, or him. Is it? You know this stuff more than me.
It's probably a steer, but he's so sweet and so precious. But yeah, when I was growing up, our steer had a very good life, a very happy life. But that's one of the things that you do, I think, when you have children, is you prepare them for farm life all the time. It's not just one big shocking thing, but at the same time, all of these creatures are God's creatures, and I absolutely loved every single one. So, of course, that was very, very painful. But as you can see, these entities, they love, they have emotion, they can feel fear, they can have passions, they have their own thoughts, they have their own patterns of reckoning how they do things. They're really so not different from us, and it's just so sad to see them culled at such a huge, actually anyone. I don't like to see any creature lose its life, and it just seems like they're doing this at such a fast pace. It almost feels karmically really, really, really bad. I feel like there's definitely going to be some karmic repercussions for this somehow.
Absolutely. And as we look on, we see Western flames spread. California sees its largest 2022 fire, and we touched on that before. And the McKinney fire is getting larger, and we're to expect this. We've been following the droughts. The drought is ever changing, ever evolving, and again, there's no reason for it with all those declassified documents and again, just look to what China has said. They're going to completely control the weather. They've made that statement in 2.5 years. They say in 2.5 years more time, they're going to be able to completely control their weather. And do you really think there's any reason for these floods and all the drought that we see going on? I do understand natural cycles. And, I think I bought the natural cycle theory more 5 years ago, 4 years ago. And then as I've gone through more and more declassified things, as well as information that we've gotten from our guides, come to realize that the natural part of the cycles is only about half of what you see going on. Again, they're intensifying everything. And this looks really familiar, does it not? I mean, we've been down around Death Valley as that's where we used to live, over in this area. And you see the road just totally torn up, flash floods. Man, there is evidence of serious destruction in the American West. Serious destruction. And I've felt that firsthand too. Mediterranean temperatures reach abnormally high levels. It's actually hitting levels that you would associate with the Caribbean. These two seas, so gorgeous and everything. You're going to have an increased risk of hurricanes as a result. And again, is it natural or is it Memorex? For those of you that remember Memorex, and that's actually quite a few of our peeps. No warming in the U.S. for at least 17 years, according to a rarely referenced urban heat-free database. Yeah, there's been no temperature warming for at least 17 years across the United States, according to results from a rarely referenced data set that was designed to remove all urban heat distortions. The urban areas, and this is noticeable. If you go, into a city and then you leave the city, you get out in the countryside, it always tends to feel cooler. Well, it's the composition of the city that's creating more heat. And so when you take that out of the mix, there's really no global warming going on, at least from what this data set is showing. Oh, agendas. Talking about agendas. So, if we were heading into that big grand solar minimum, that, again, part, one side is saying everything is melting And the other side is saying, no, we're heading into another ice age. Everything is freezing. Well, the lack of solar activity indicates that grand solar minimum. We were talking about these monthly values, and what we're seeing now, the predicted value here was 4.1. They were predicting 4.1 sunspots. What actually happened? 34. Wait a minute. That doesn't go along with that narrative. This is what we see. Here, 5.2. What happened? 23. Yeah, and so, monthly value 21, predicted 11. A lot of these are double. This one's pretty close. And then we come over here. Monthly value 34.8. It's about 50% higher than what was predicted. And so I was curious to see what last month was going to be in July. Here you go. This is the latest one. Predicted 45, we had 91.4. We had double what they predicted. So what does that say about the grand solar minimum? To me, again, there's multiple things going on here. Now, what we've gotten from the guides, too, is that the real creator of this universe and the benevolent beings are working through the sun to help us overcome what the dark cabal is doing technologically.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that we need to clean up with, and it's our technology really is not our friend right now. And so in every way, shape, and form, we need to step back from that system, because it's that system that's going to intertwine us, before we even really recognize it. And we're intertwined to the point where we really cannot get out. We have to see things for what they are now so we can get out of there.
Now, with that strong of an increase in solar activity, it can give you some warnings of what could happen naturally with coronal mass ejection that would lead to, an energetic pulse that could really fry things. This was a FEMA warning that they actually did a study back in 2010. And of course, we don't trust FEMA. We don't trust anything. I mean, we don't. And I'm just speaking for Cindy and I. But this study showed that the grid, if we had a Carrington type event, and they didn't officially publish this is a 36-page report. It was posted at governmentattic.org. So it said that basically it would take 4 to 10 years to fully restore the grid if we had something like the Carrington event, which hit Earth in 1859. It actually, and back in those days we had telegraph lines, and so the surges from the telegraph lines literally started fires. Think about this today. Can you imagine a pulse that comes through and it might set houses on fire? It could set all sorts of things on fire and then leave us with no power. Now there was, the government did put out, was that in 2016? I'm trying to remember now, 2017, a warning. Gosh, we should revisit that. Basically saying that every U.S. citizen should be ready for 6 months on their own, totally on your own, with nobody to help you and no grid. Are you prepared for that? I thought there was going to be more rainfall here. So, we did get barrels in now. And, we'll probably add to that because the rainfall has been a fraction of what's supposed to be where we are. But we still have lakes nearby. But again, if you don't have gas to get to the lake and fill up the water, I know we're not carrying hundreds of pounds of water on our back, miles. So again, you got to make preparations as best you can. And this new study estimates timeline scale for Earth's 6th mass extinction event, which they say is, we're in the middle of a mass extinction event. The Hopi, they talk about the 5th world. And it was the Anunnaki, that's how they actually translate it in Hopi land, which literally translates to ant friends in Hopi. And Anunnaki, if we go over to Sumeria, it's those that come from the sky, or those of Anu, and Anu, again, is a god that's not from here. And again, what is a god? So with me, I like to distinguish now by just simply saying the creator of this universe. That way I feel I got it covered. Because I hear still so many times people will say a particular name and they'll say the God Most High. What, the God with the ship that goes the farthest, the fastest?
Right? You have to replace those words when it says the God Most High, the Anunnaki Most High. So when you look at those words that say Lord and God, if you just throw the word Anunnaki in there, you're pretty much dead on.
Yeah, and it's a distinguish as something that needs to be made. And, man, today I'm feeling like so motivated to do like a 5-hour expose on that type of thing. Because it would take, I was thinking, how long would I really need to get into everything that you could just roll out of my head on this subject and show how, the manipulation is really extraterrestrial, interdimensional. Somebody had said, so tell me, if these are really aliens, are they extraterrestrial? Are they interdimensional? Did they get here in spaceships? Did they get here through a time portal? Did they get here through a Stargate? And my answer was all the above and a lot more. Yep. It's all the above and a lot more. You're talking about many different types of beings. And, we have had firsthand interaction. I have seen a tall gray standing over my bed, basically sabotaging my energy body. Right before I was exposed to red tide, and dipped down energetically. And if it wasn't for my Qigong and energy work, I probably wouldn't be here. But I saw this being who dematerialized in front of my very eyes, but it took it probably 60 to 90 seconds to do so. And it also followed Cindy and I around throughout the Nevada desert, especially when we were by Area 51, especially when we were by the Nellis Air Force Base. And I've seen other ones. My kids have woken up in the middle of the night, terrified because of grays being in their bedroom. And my father, who is very quiet about things, shared with me, and he didn't even, I don't think he shared with my mom, honestly, but he shared with me that he knew aliens existed. But he also knew Mother Mary existed. And Mother Mary had visited him and his sister and brother when they were little kids, and right around, I'd say, 1930 in California. So, and by the way, my dad had his 100th birthday. He's been gone for 25 years, a couple of weeks ago, and he's actually teaching on the other side, and that's wonderful. And so, again, life goes on. This is, no matter what we face, this is just really, it's an opportunity for growth. And it is a test. How are we going to respond to darkness? Are you going to go up and stand up to the bully? Or are you going to just give in and cave? This is our choice. So during the history of life, Earth has lost the majority of its species on numerous occasions over the past 540 million years. Now, their timelines are screwed up.
Yeah, very much screwed up because, for one, it's really difficult. You can't really get a timeline when you do these studies or their so-called science. They're always going to revise it. But when we're looking at these events, even, remote viewing, you're not going to get a date. You're not going to get a date because in that sense, there is no time. Is just a man-made construct for us to have certain beliefs and have certain events in our life. But when you're looking out into the etheric realm, there is no time. It's just everything is happening right now, everywhere at the same time. So you can pick out events that looks like, things may have gotten blown up or things didn't go so well, but you're not going to be able to put like 100 BC time on it because there is no such thing.
And so, they say basically we have massive climate change. There you go. Massive climate change. It happens all the time, guys. Nothing stays still. And in fact, everything is energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed, like Einstein said, but it is always changing, ebbing and flowing. Climate change is natural. And yes, at the same time, we can augment it or we could slow it down. The best way we can do to slow it down and get it into a more benevolent frame is through living a life that is symbiotic with our environment itself. So, yeah, we shouldn't really be using carbon-based fuels. We shouldn't be using these quote-unquote fossil fuels. And again, that's another thing that has been totally crazily changed and distorted. But they've had us on this. They've had us on that for a reason. They love to poison the land. Look at Monsanto and all those giant corporations. They really don't care about saving species. The only thing they ever care about is themselves. And they view the planet as if it's expendable and they'll just go elsewhere. Just look to Mars if you want to know the future of Earth if they had their way. And if you look to Mars, you could look to Nibiru and see what that's like. And it's very much like, if you guys are a Star Wars fan, it's representative of where Anakin, Darth Vader's home territory is, that kind of hellish realm. Well, it's kind of like what they did to Nibiru, but it wasn't always that way. So again, they give us some truths. Yeah, we would be better off not using gas and oil. But why are they doing it now? Why are they doing it when we have, energy shortages that are manufactured, food shortages that are manufactured? Because it's part of the greater plan. It's part of the greater plan. Earth's magnetic field made comeback millions of years ago and preserved life on the planet. And we've talked about Tiamat. And Earth is Tiamat. Earth is what's left of Tiamat. Earth was at one time much bigger, and it was closer to Jupiter. So when we look to the asteroid belt, Earth is basically what's left of Tiamat that righted itself, moved into a new location that would be more hospitable for life given the parameters of the size and the composition of the planet after the destruction of Tiamat. And life began anew in the magnetic field and everything. So in reality, our hidden history is a shared one, so to speak. When we're hearing the legends of Tiamat, that is Earth.
Right. And there is a point where a rather large piece broke off and moved into a state that I called super consciousness, where everything at a rapid pace pulls itself together to support what life is left.
Because there is a creator of this universe, and that creator does want this universe to continue and values every single life on this planet and in this universe. And so again, we are living in, you might view it as the mind of God. We are a dream within a dream within a dream, and we are co-creating. And so again, if you feel a little bit iffy about who you're speaking to and you go pray, you might just, put it out there, that you're looking to seek contact with the creator of this universe, or you're asking for the blessings of the creator of this universe. Because again, they will give you the impression that somebody that's creator of this universe, and it's really not. It's quite the opposite. Just like, this came up yesterday too in a discussion with a very, very gifted member of this family. The Anunnaki take credit for creating humans, and you could see the second chromosome splicing. But that's not our soul. Again, they didn't create our soul, and they can't reach as high as we can. They're below us. They think that they're higher than us because of their technology, but they're stuck. They cannot escape what we would call the hellish realms, the lower astral, the lower 4D. They're stuck there. They can't go any higher. We can.
I look at it like this. We have a creator and we have the controllers. That, to me, that's how I differentiate.
That's beautiful. It's that simple. There's the creator and there are the controllers. The creator is very benevolent, full of love. The controllers are not. And meanwhile, the shortest day observed on Earth as the planet keeps spinning faster. Interesting. I mean, there's so many, and we're talking milliseconds. They're saying that we're talking milliseconds, but are we really talking milliseconds? Again, everything is a distortion. That's part of what many people are waking up to. Beat the heat by traveling to the moon. There's some spots there on the moon in these pits that stay 63 Fahrenheit. That's a damn comfortable temp. I don't even need a shirt in that temperature. That's nice. So again, and now we had learned just recently that the moon is actually literally in our atmosphere. And for those people that say, it's not round and there's a firmament above us, well, the firmament's the atmosphere. It's all around us, And that's the atmosphere itself. And yes, space is not a vacuum like they say, because there's all the building blocks of life out in space. We could think of it as a very, very light ocean, so to speak. I think that might give you a better idea.
Like a plasma.
Yeah, exactly. And just to recap with, obviously, The Wicked Witch has landed. We were thinking about that music. She has come, and look at all these tanks. And, now this is on the streets of Xiamen. We should ask David about this, because he's probably been there. Because Cindy was saying, how do we know that's not real? Well, we don't. And then she was also saying, how do we know it's not out there to protect her? Well, again, it's not about her, so to speak. She's just a pawn. And, how many of her are there? Because obviously people are waking up to the fact that there's more than 146.
Right. And, I'm just full of questions whenever I see anything on the media like that.
Can you get a number? How many of her are there? Is there just one? I think there's more than one. I've seen.
Well, I mean, before you asked the question, the number 5 flew through their head.
So there again, what if she was quote unquote attacked, her plane shot down or something? It would definitely be an act of war. That they would sell that, in a heartbeat. And yet, there might not even be one of the 5 body doubles clones, depending on what you believe, in the plane. There's all sorts of things. Okay. All right. Now that we're talking about 46 and Zawahiri, so let's listen to his words here.
My fellow Americans, on Saturday, at my direction, the United States successfully concluded an airstrike in Kabul, Afghanistan, that killed the emir of Al-Qaeda.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, that's just fun. That's just fun, guys.
It's just hilarious. It is just hilarious. Now, we don't view 45 as being the savior of mankind either. I just want to put that out there again. Sometimes there's choosing the lesser of two evils. Honestly, everybody in politics makes me nervous, and I don't trust any of them. But you got to admit that was fun.
It was fun. We had a good time with that.
Listen to this. Now, this is my old senator, because I lived in South Carolina for about 7 years, Lindsey Graham. Just listen to the actual words here.
I like the structural path we're on here. As long as we help Ukraine with the weapons they need and the economic support, they will fight to the last person.
Just listen to that. I mean, doesn't that say a lot? As long as we keep giving money, they're going to fight to the last person.
I like the structural path we're on here. As long as we help Ukraine with the weapons they need and the economic support, they will fight to the last person.
We know who you serve. Now, this is somebody that's on the right. As Lindsey Graham's been in politics forever, his entire life. And so this is, again, when you look to the parties and you talk about patriotism, and if you really truly buy it, that Republicans are always right, Democrats are always wrong. In reality, I view it as the vast majority of anything coming out of anybody that's in Congress, certainly in the executive branch and the judicial branch as well. I don't think any of them, for the most part, are truly completely serving us. There might be a few out there that are really being guided totally by their heart, but they're still distorted by some form of the lies that the controllers give us. Yeah, there's so many out there that still, people want to get behind somebody, but you know what? It's not going to be anybody in this system. The system has to go. The entirety of the system has to go. If it was a red tidal wave that came in, there's going to be something else that happens that causes chaos. It's just the way it is. This is what the controllers do. And this goes back to the beginning of the Kali Yuga. And you see the whole world had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar, and they settled there. They said to each other, "Let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. And they said, "Let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we might make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we'll be scattered over the face of the whole earth." That's a little, again, foreshadowing there. How'd they know they're going to be scattered over the face of the whole earth? But and the original translation is the Elohim, but the mighty ones came down to see the city and the tower that the people were building. And the mighty ones said, "If as one people speaking the same language, they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other." So the mighty ones came and scattered them from there all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. That's why it's called Babel, because the mighty ones confused the language of the whole earth. And from there, the mighty ones scattered them all over. And then we could go to Deuteronomy 32:8, which talks about the mighty ones splitting up the planet into tribes, each one being ruled by one of the mighty ones. And thus, we have the mighty ones guiding nonstop warfare on this planet for thousands of years. This is the reality of the number one published book of all time. The book you'll find in every motel across the country, pretty much. And again, they say it right there. This is the word of the Lord. This is the word of the mighty ones. This is the word of the Igigi Anunnaki draconian system that is upon this planet. Every single president is sworn in with his hand on this book. Every single one of them. None of them are burned up into a pyre of fire. No, because this is their book. This, is there truths in there? Sure. There's some beauty in Psalms. There's some wisdom in many places. And there's even the original creation story that is then washed over. If you want to really get truth, start studying from all over, but primarily go within. Take time to develop a true spiritual practice. Learn how to still your thoughts. Then, when we're talking constantly, we can't hear others. And this is what our mind is. When our mind is nonstop chattering, you're not going to hear what others on other densities are trying to tell you. It could be your grandma, it could be your grandpa saying, "Don't do it. Don't go to the doctor. Don't get whatever it is." They might be screaming at the top of their lungs, but if you don't take the time to learn how to still your mind, you'll never hear them.
And, they have so much information in the Bible, but I look at it it's a spell book. It's a spell book. They put the information out there, and then they use our energy to bring it to fruition. They use us to bring it into manifestation. It's all about spells when we're dealing with this 3D construct. And that's something that the controllers know. They know very well to how to get things to manifest through writing. So we need to be very conscious of that. And that's why it's so important to go within. Go within, find your own understanding. And I know it is nice to look to people you look up to and just believe what they believe, but we too have done our studies. We have done our meditating, sitting on our hands, thinking, allowing this information to come to us so that we can find our belief systems. And I know there's a lot of questions out there, and it's great to talk with one another and find out different ideas, but really it's the arrow's got to keep pointing back at you. What do you believe?
And again, when we use the oldest original translation, you could read this. This is Ephesians. This is the New Testament. Fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath. Instead, bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the mighty ones. Slaves, obey your earthly masters with respect and fear and sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. And do this not only to please them while they are watching, but as servants of Christ, doing the will of the mighty ones from your heart. So again, this is the distortion. This is the distortion. They say right there, slaves, obey your earthly masters. This is telling you, slaves, obey the controllers with respect and fear. Yeah, I mean, it's right there. This is a book designed to give humanity the concept that they're slaves. This is exactly what the Anunnaki tablets speak of. The Sumerian tablets say they created us as a slave race. And again, this is Colossians saying the same thing. It's right there. It's right there. There are hundreds of references to slavery in the Bible. Slavery is never right. It's never anything that should be condoned. And I would incite slaves to rebel against your masters, because you are an independent, beautiful, co-creative being with the true source of all.
Mm-hmm. And we are all very different, and we all have our own perception, and we are all just that little different piece of the diamond, flashing back our individual shining insight.
Absolutely. So may the creator of this universe bless you. Mm-hmm. Namaste.
Namaste.